come Tuesday, yeah, 1st October, Nigeria will turn 64. The journey thus far, charting a new course for economic prosperity. I still have my four analysts with me here in the studio. Even if it takes them a minute or two or three to express themselves, talking about Nigeria at 65, I think that we'll just do. We still have Benjamin all the way from Germany, and we have Honorable Ehi Igariba all the way joining us via Zoom, both of joining us via Zoom, New Jersey, and of course in the studio I have Okorosa Baraye and Justin, a legal practitioner. So let's start off from the people at home. All right. Yes, you people are in Nigeria. Yes, they too they come regularly. In fact, they're based in Nigeria, but you people are here. Let me borrow your word for the very just now, right? Nigeria at 64. Economic hardship. Many are still groaning. Many are still crying. Many are still complaining. Many parents cannot feed their children successfully. Some don't even know what to do. Why, in some other hand, you get to hear some trying to managing to make ends meet. Fuel price, you know the story too well. Diesel price, you know the story. I want to start off from Justin Ore. I mean, Nigerian 64.
Wow.
What have to say about that? Do you have anything to celebrate? What about charting a new course? What should be put in place to make people feel this particular jubilation of us turning 64 years rather?
Well, Nigeria 64, like we said or I've agreed earlier, the most important thing in life is life itself. So we thank God we are alive to witness another independence celebration. It reminds me of how we used to celebrate when we were much younger. Primary school, we go to Ogbemudia, now Ogbemudia Stadium, Ogbe Stadium, march past, those stuff like that. And some schools are giving award the best math student, school, secondary school. Then there's this Air Force plane, a throw ball, this small ball, the green, white, green round. You throw it, or play, so happy, then cook rice and those stuff. You enjoy, you play, you have fun, go to, there's this amusement park at Saple Road, Ekai. I'm not. It's no more in existence. I'm sure. Go to zoos. Go to places. You are happy. But today, there's nothing to cheer about. That's the gospel truth. The economic hardship, the political turmoil, the socio-economic or psychological trauma that every Nigerian is going through is traumatic. It's killing. It's excruciating. It's painful. What do you want to share about? Nothing. 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 Just you're going to look at the dollar rate. Today is about 1,000, almost 1,700 or above 1,700 to a dollar. You're holding $1,000 now. You are a millionaire. 1.7 million in your pockets for 10 pieces. Is it Gary? Is it beans? Beans we see as food for. When I was in school, when I take beans to school, we will usually eat it because I don't eat beans. But today, even during COVID, beans was less than 1,000 naira a rubber. But today, beans is almost 7,000, if not more, per beans. Rice is over the roof, over 100,000 naira for a bag of rice. The minimum wage the federal government is yet to implement is, while our governor of Edo State is already implementing his. You understand? So there is nothing, when you look at it, because the economy of Nigeria trickles from the federal government to the state and down to the locals.
All right.
So if you look at it in a nutshell, my dear,
All right.
nothing.
Of course, Barry, aka put food on the table. What do you have to say? Nigeria at 64. It's like we're having more stories of woe than success this time around. Would you agree to that comment?
Yeah, Nigeria 64, not a good story yet, but there's hope. And
There is
light
hope.
at the horizon. The reason why I've said so is that You cannot compare it now to somewhere like Russia or compare it to somewhere like Iran. If we, for we to even have independence to celebrate,
Russia or Ukraine?
Ukraine and even Iran.
No, Ukraine supply us grains of
No, I
meal.
know,
See, Mr.
Yeah, but
Sorry,
I know
sorry,
what you're
sorry.
saying. Hold on now, hold on. Please continue.
yeah, we cannot compare it because there's a war zone. For we to still have our stability together goes to show that there's something to celebrate. It might not be all rosy for now, but I think the future for some of us see is good. Is good, though it might be gloomy because of the decadence of past leadership. What they've done, the enormous damage they've done to the ferment in the society. But I also believe that in the nearby future, things will be okay. But we keep lamenting and lamenting and lamenting. If truly we also go back to the drawing board, we can in our own little. I usually I've made my uncle Edwin Minazaka a very popular name now this program because I always cite use him as a point of contact. Edwin Minazaka is a politician and a farmer. My mother's younger brother. He lives in, he has an apartment in Benin, but he lives most time in my mother's village, Ogada. And I think for the past, as I can remember, for the past, let's say, 30 years, constantly, that man has been the one feeding my mom, my younger ones with gari, yam, plantain, oil, constantly. He comes with sometimes 2 months, 3 months, he brings them. And sometimes he will call me, I can't come, I will drive down, pack it down to Benin. So in his own little way, he has been able to first of all, put food on people's table, put food on his table. Are you getting it now? For those that just believe government must do this, government must do this, I know government has to also put things in place to make sure those things are also good. Are you getting, if our government are also sincere to purpose, if our government makes sure that what falls from the top falls to the ground, I'm sure we'll not be here. If our government also makes sure that the food being brought up there is not locked up somewhere and also shared amongst political reasons, it's given to the people that really need it, I'm not sure all of us will just be complaining. I'm not trying to savage anybody to say which has done right, this one has done wrong, because the system is rotten, but I'm also sure it's healing, and the healing process is going to take time. Are you getting that? Because this decadence is not just for now. Immediately after this independence 64 years ago, this crisis started. I thought if in the 70s, the money was so much that the corporate leaders didn't know what to use it for. And they organized first start borrowing money to IMF and doing all sorts of things because they didn't plan for the future.
Future.
If they have said, okay, instead of building first start, there was a farm. Look at the Otta farm that they also built. Look at how politics was used in robbing off of Otta farm. If Otta farm was virtually in all the states in Nigeria, I'm not sure food now will be our problem. Are you getting that? So we should be able to go back to the drawing board to see how things. You can see too, politics is also making this thing not sweet. You saw what the government, the president sent to rotational government of
It states
what's it, how's it called? Regional government.
government.
How the Northerners are fighting in the Senate now to say no, it must not hold. It
All
must not
right.
hold. Because issues like that are what is supposed
To be.
not to be. So
All
that
right,
we
thank
say
you.
we know that Ugbowo of Via University of Benin now be your own.
Your region.
You just region take charge of that place, make sure.
All right, thank you, thank you.
Because
From what you said, we are healing.
We are healing. Nigeria is not even
Okay.
sitting on the right track.
Okay, but we are here to
We are
take
healing.
time. Let's get to hear from Benjamin. Benjamin, Nigerian 64, the journey thus far, charting a course for economic prosperity. You've heard Barrister Justin Odre and, of course, Commodore Koros Baraye. What do you feel about Nigeria at 64?
Um, Thank you. I think this junction, I will like, first of all, agree with the last speaker, Mr. Osahon, my brother, on what he said, that the federal government is doing little in empowering Nigerians and individuals to engage in agriculture or just in local farming and all that. If the federal government have been able to do this, I think that will have averted the food crisis that Nigeria is currently experiencing. And when you also look at this, I don't think celebrating the 64th year birthday of Nigeria or the independence is something that we all should be. Um, Me personally, I'm not happy about it because of the things that happen in the country from the north, south to west and east. The insecurity, especially in the northern part of the country. I don't think they will be telling the people who are displaced or the people living in IDP camps to be celebrating the Nigerian independence. The ministries entirely are not doing perfectly well trying to solve the problem that Nigerians are facing. Yesterday, I put out a post on my account on which I currently acknowledge one of the ministry, and that is currently a ministry and a minister that is currently performing out of the 40 something ministers that the president of this country, President Tinubu, Chief Bola Ahmed Tinubu, appointed. And that is the only ministry of, and that is the only ministry of interior. Mr. Olubumi, we call it BTO. When you look at that ministry, I would be able to attest to it because of what I've experienced so far, especially when I came to Nigeria last 2 months and when I went to Frankfurt to renew my Nigerian passport. Before my old passport expired, that before I went for this new one, I was like, I don't know how it's going to take me, how long it's going to take me this time. I made a call to Nigeria and the guy said, no, just go. It's not like as before. The minister have actually changed something. I said, okay, well, let me try. I went to the Frankfurt embassy to renew my passport. I went there on Tuesday, yesterday, which is Saturday. I got the passport in my brief, in my post box. That had never happened before. I can remember the stress I went through, even paying for an express. And I planned my holiday to Nigeria with my family. And at the end of the day, the passport didn't come. I wasted. I can tell you, you can know what I mean. I wasted money purchasing ticket, thinking the passport will come. At the end of the day, that holiday never took place. I think, and I'm also saddened. Why am I making reference to this? I'm also saddened that the president of the country have put up the name of the Minister of Interior Affairs for a shuffle. I think that is very, very, very wrong because that is the only minister at this 64th independent in this administration that is performing. Every other ministers, you don't see them. And every other ministry just remain docile. Let's come back to the economic situation in the country. The president and the government is doing nothing when it comes to alleviating the poverty of Nigerians. We have to be very sensitive in everything we do. Nigeria is passing through a lot. As spending our money on things that are not going to favor Nigerians, that Nigerians don't want to see, that want to add value to the economy. I think the Nigerian government should try and find a way to desist
All
from it
right.
by buying private jet, by changing the
Thank
presidential
you.
jet and spending billions. All those things need to
Thank
be
you,
looked into.
Benjamin. Due to time constraints, I have to, just come in now. Honorable Yegar, we're going to have the last comment on this segment because our time is up. Nigeria at 64, charting a new path to economic prosperity. Go ahead. You have just 2 minutes, max.
Okay. Thank you. For me, I think keeping all the blame on the federal government will not solve the problem because in other countries of the world, government is from bottom to top and not from top to bottom. And in Nigeria, we practice a federal system of government, which means that we have 3 tiers of government: the federal, the state, and the local government. And unfortunately, in this part, most of the citizens have the mindset of a unitary system of government where only the federal government is being held accountable. When you talk of issues like agriculture, public transportation, these are areas where you are supposed to see the state and local governments taking adequate care of. But unfortunately, it's not the case. It is expected that, especially agrarian states that have very good farmlands, especially even in a state like Edo, we are supposed to have food sufficiency. We are not supposed to bring in basic food crops from other states. And if all the states are governized such that they are able to take care of the food requirements of their states and the local governments are doing their bits, I don't think the blame will be so much on the federal government that we are right now overloading. You know, you look at education, for instance, the states have to do their bit. Most of them they are trying to put up state universities and all that, and that has reduced the pressure on federal universities. So we expect them to do it in agriculture. Then also look at transportation, for instance. Many of the states do not have functional public transportation. The federal government cannot give transportation to states. All states and local governments in other parts of the world have efficient public transportation. It's their responsibility to move the people about. But the states here are not paying attention to that, except perhaps in Lagos State. Then most of the states are not paying attention to the three critical emergencies. For instance, those states have tried now. There is a police, response team such that you can dial a number and hopefully, I don't know what is the response time for the police to come to you, but in all other modern societies,
Thank you.
fire service
Our
again is not
time, our
existing in
time
most of
is
the
up,
states.
Honorable. Our
And
time
so,
is up.
yeah,
I know you have so
thank
much
you,
to
Jose.
say. I know you have so much to say. We all have so much to say. Nigeria 64, but something struck me what Benjamin said. He said, Olubomi, Tunji, or Joe, what the reforms he made in, we talk about passport, immigration, and all that is superb, and it's so sad that his name is being penciled for reshuffling. Well, Minister of Power, I don't know. I don't really want to start point. Anyway, let's leave that. Nigeria 64. Yes, we are going through a lot as a country. We are going through a lot as a nation. Some say it's a healing process. Well, how long will the healing process take place? Nigerians are really eager. We are eager. We are eager. I'm going to leave it at that. The federal government, state government, local government, please, everybody sit up.
Yes.
Everybody sit
Yes,
up.
they will sit up.
Individuals
If
sit up.
we have to call them to
No matter where you are,
to sit up.
I know no matter where you are, sit up. No matter what you do, sit up. It concerns you and I. Everybody do your best. And your best should be enough. So you have to keep doing your best because if Nigeria collapses, it collapses on none of us. Nobody will be spared. If it gets stronger, it will be to our own benefit. So please, everybody do the right thing at the right time. Benjamin, thanks a lot for being a part of the show. Honorable Yegariba, thank you so much for being a part of this show. And of course, put food on the table, aka Okoro Sahomba. Thank you so much. Barrister Justin Uru, I really appreciate your comment. It's been a while. You just went off the grid until after the election. All this, let's talk about that later. For all of us in the studio, we're saying have a wonderful independence celebration. Bye for now.